All right. Max Spada, here's a quick curve, but on the eve or so of Shatner being launched into space at 90, everyone's calling him Rocket Man. I think we should try to find him covering Rocket Man. I think he covered Rocket Man.
Talk singing Rocket Man.
Yeah, talk singing, and just how interesting that is. Also, I was looking it up in a show previous to this one, or prior to this one, but 3 out of the 6 main cast members of Star Trek cut an album.
Oh, no shit.
Really?
Well, that's how it went back then. If you were on a hit TV show, I had the over-under at 4. The interesting thing was that DeForest Kelley, or one of the guys, was actually a singer.
Oh, someone was like Uncle June on the original Sopranos. Like, he was a real singer.
Yeah, as a jazz singer.
But he didn't cut an album.
No shit.
The ones who couldn't sing cut an album because they were a little higher up on the recognition level than he was.
So what do we got? Like Spock and Takei?
Yeah. I'm guessing Nimoy and Takei.
No, it was
Uhuru?
Yes. Sorry, I say Hulu now because that's what's in my brain. Uhura. Right. The black chick.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, we'll get into that in a second. Also, I wanted to talk about, well, I had this, and by the way, Nivine Jay, she's the one who had the thing with Affleck.
Yeah, the Raya
Ben Affleck thing we were talking
explain
about
that
the other
to me,
day.
and maybe for anyone else listening who doesn't know what that is. Was I out of town when you guys were talking about that?
He
maybe you
here.
were. Sorry. Yeah, you were out of town. Everyone should be out of town at least once a week because everything will fall into the basket of, I wasn't here.
Can do.
She had this thing. She was on Raya. Raya's that dating app, but it's just for industry people. And you could be hot industry types, but you could be a producer, director, an actor, whatever, but it's in industry. And Ben shot her out, reached out to her, and then she said, come on, this isn't Ben Affleck.
She blocked him.
She blocked him, and then C Block takes on a whole different meaning when the chick does it, and the chick... Anyway, she blocked him, and then he wrote her back or videoed her back saying, this is me. But I did this.
But not in like a real casual way. And it got a little creepy looking.
Yeah.
It's fucking Ben Affleck right here.
I agree. Anyway, so she'll be on to go back and clear that up. By God, that's producing. How'd you find her, Chris?
One of her friends reached out to me.
Oh, by God, that's kind of producing, but okay.
And she's an actress, I'm taking it. She's good looking, obviously.
Yeah, there's a gray area now between actress and influencer and TikToker and reality, whatever.
I have her IMDb.
All right, let's hear it.
What is she most known for?
She was a sorority girl on Kroll's show in 2014. Okay. She was a sorority girl in Neighbors in 2014.
She's typecast.
Alice in a short in 2014.
Alice the sorority girl?
Yeah. And then we jumped to 2021, Rehab Sam in Space Juice.
Mm-hmm.
So we can ask her about that.
All right, we'll talk to her, and she's 29. All right, and then we'll continue on. So there's this brouhaha going around with Sage Steele, who was from ESPN, who just was suspended indefinitely because she won Jay Cutler's podcast and spoke openly about thoughts she had, which is...
Shouldn't do that.
It's also a new thing, which is there is your place of employment, which is ESPN, and then there's 10,000 or 200,000 podcasts, and they would like to interview people have heard of who have opinions. Mm-hmm. So then they come on, and then they inevitably ask them their opinions, and then hopefully they give their opinions, and then somebody gets hold of their opinions, and then they feed them back to ESPN or whoever's employing you.
They just thought you should know.
And then you get canceled or you get suspended. Now, again...
What did Sage Steele say that was controversial?
Well, all you have to do is have an opinion that's different than the orthodoxy. Okay. So there is
about vaccine mandates.
General opinion, and then there's opinions that are outside of that, and that's enough to get you canceled. She also had one about Obama, too, which is interesting.
Does she make policy? Then who cares?
Well, my bigger thing is again, we had something called McCarthyism, and everyone agreed it was an evil, a scourge. Nobody liked it. And it was basically distilled down to people who think differently than you we're going to get them removed from their job.
Right.
We're going to get them
Forever.
blacklisted.
Yeah.
So if that's something that we don't like conceptually, like we don't like the notion or the act of removing people from their livelihood because they think differently or they talk differently or they have a different religion or affiliation politically or belief system. We've all agreed for the last 70 years that that's probably, we made many movies, written books about it. We don't like this policy. Yeah. And the people that are probably most vocal about that policy are the folks that are a little more in ESPN's camp. Not the Bible thumping, whatever. Right. They probably would look the other way because they didn't like communism. You know what I mean? They're like, we don't like this thing called communism. And then the people who are further to the left and more progressive said, well, it's not really about whether you like communism or not. It's whether this person has the right to associate and to speak and all that and maintain their current employment. But she had one, so she was asked about vaccines. She had this opinion. Then there's another Obama one, which is interestingly telling, which I've talked about a lot. But here's Sage Steele from ESPN. She's mixed, by the way. I think her dad is black and her mom is white, and she does a nice job on ESPN, or she did, until she said this.
I think I respect everyone's decision. I really do. Yeah. But to mandate it is sick. Mm-hmm. And it's scary to me in many ways. But I have a job that I love, and frankly, a job that I need.
Uh-oh.
All right.
And she had a little Band-Aid on, so she must have just gotten vaccinated in that.
Yeah, I think there's a large, there's two groups that we don't really account for. There's a large group of people who have been vaccinated who say, I believe in it, that's why I got vaccinated, but I don't think it's up to me or the company to force it on other people.
Don't care!
Which then gets you into anti-vaxxer zone. But you're not anti-vaxxer if you took the vax. Sure. You're just sort of pro-civil liberties. And then there's another one that we haven't talked about, which I don't think people understand, because you see the news every night, like, who are these people? These people are QAnon, Trump supporter, whatever. You have no idea what percentage of Americans are lazy. I mean,
we underestimate.
Well, let's just talk in the financial realm. You know how many people I talk to, like successful kids, that are like, my dad wants 18 grand because the roof on his house is for shit, and he can't, God knows. I had to buy my dad a trumpet. I had to put a roof on my mother-in-law's house. Like, there's a lot of people that are retired that have zero money in the bank, and it's up to society or their kids to, well, it's like, how many, you guys are getting to that age.
No, I know exactly what
you get to that age where it's like, me and my sister are going in halvesies on a nurse because my mom needs somebody. Yeah. Okay, they never thought they would see their 72nd birthday or something, or their house would never need a roof or whatever it is. There is a large group. Look at, let's just forget about vaccines. Let's just go to dental checkups. You know the percentage of people haven't been to the dentist in 11 years?
Indeed.
Right.
Now, it's like, are they anti-teeth?
No, anti-dentist.
Anti-dentist or are they QAnon guys?
A lot of times
they're just fucking lazy.
Yeah, the excuse is, cost insurance is $18 a month. Oh, really? How much is that fucking root canal?
They don't now, my belief is when people say, you go, haven't got your teeth cleaned in 9 years or whatever it is, and they'll give you some story. They'll go, well, I used to work for Home Depot and we had dental, and then I got fired. And so why'd you get fired? I called my supervisor cunt. But anyway, they fired me for no reason. And then, okay, but it's been 9 years. Like, what's the plan? They go,
right.
But that is, the people are the super lazy and the sort of inert people, and the people that just, again, I'll get to the end of my life. There's nothing in the bank. The roof leaks. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, what was your plan? Where's your 401k? Where's the retirement? Where's the nest egg? Like, how many Americans don't have a nest egg, have no savings? I mean, when they do those studies, they're appalling. They're like 63% of Americans have less than $600 in the bank. These are adults.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we always talk about, well, this guy's black and it's the Tuskegee Airmen and he's worried, or there's the QAnon guys or the Ted Nugent guys. I say it's a much larger. Those guys exist. But what percentage of blacks are really worried? You know, how many 26-year-old blacks are really worried about the Tuskegee experiment? You know what I mean? Yeah. And how many people really think that the government is putting a chip inside your eye? I contend it's a much larger group of people that are just like, I'm eating a hoagie. My teeth don't really hurt. So I'm good. Yeah,
my point with the $18 a month comment wasn't they're cheap. It was some excuse to mask the laziness. It could be 28, it could be 30, whatever it is. It's like, that is my excuse not to do this thing.
Those people realize their lethargy. But when you say that, no one ever says, why didn't you do this? And they go, because I'm super lazy. They never do that. They just go, hey, 26-year-old black guy. Why didn't they go, this Tuskegee thing, or the government is putting. They don't really believe. I was going to get insurance, or they have to offer you, sane person, something other than I don't know.
It's the
I
same,
just fucking float.
Yes, and the best example, the most recent example I can think of is voting. Everybody tweets about it. Everybody chit chats. But did you vote? I don't really like either.
Not sure what polling place is.
I heard that when you drop it off, they steal those.
Right. The number one answer should be for why didn't you vote is you just go, I'm selfish, I'm super lazy, and I don't care. Because I could have stopped on my way home, but I was hungry.
Right. It's very easy in California.
That everything is. Yes. Vax are easy, votes easy, it's all easy.
Do you know where a Walgreens is?
It's never a news story, and the news story would be like, when did 54% of Americans just become completely apathetic? Yeah. Whether it's the dental hygiene, vax, roof leaking, or retirement funds. When did we all just go, fuck it?
It'll be what it'll be.
I'm just going to throw it to the wind.
Yeah. The ones that are crazy, and this is very local, but you'll see this. Gina, you may have come across this in your $1 million S-Box searches, because I'll see like houses come for sale in my neighborhood for like $1 million that are 800 square feet and clearly were owned by a very old person till their death. You know what I mean? It's like you were sitting on $1 million and you could have moved into the nicest facility
a condo.
And rode out your day. Assisted living. You know what I mean? Like you could have rode out your days in relative luxury, but because they're lazy, don't have the information, or no one's there to help them, whatever it is, they just take
die in that house. Yeah.
Well, we have some on the theme of yesterday, more turned down hookup stories from callers this time, but. Sage Steele had another hot take, which probably didn't go over real well with her folks.
She was turned down
with the folks over at ESPN. This one's on Obama and her heritage.
Real quick story. When I was on, I used to do a couple fill-ins on The View. And I guess this was even before. This is when Obama was still president. And Barbara Walters, ripped me. Live TV and then afterwards too, because they were wondering, they're like, why is it so important to you to say that you're biracial? I'm like, because my mom's white, she's Irish Italian, and my dad's black. And I'm like, why not? I actually feel like I have the best of both worlds. Yeah. And I think it's a huge blessing, and why not? And she's like, well, what happens when you fill out your census? I'm like, well, I don't know when the last time I filled out my census was, but if they make you choose a race, she's like, what are you going to put? I go, well, both. She's like, well, you can't. She goes, well, what if Barack Obama chose black and he's biracial? I'm like, well, congratulations to the president. That's his thing. I go, I think that's fascinating considering his black dad was nowhere to be found, but his white mom and grandma raised him. But hey, you do you. I'm going to do me. And then they put up a picture behind me of my parents and my brothers and me. And I was like, listen, I'm pretty sure my white mom was there when I was born. Yeah. And I love her. My white family loves me as much as my black family. And I got killed for that, Jay.
Yeah, I've said it a million times. First off, you want to talk about patriarchy. Dad black and abandoned. Mom hangs in and raises, and you identify as solely black. That sounds a little the patriarch there.
We
to
don't,
me,
we don't like that. I guess
But also, it's just you're mixed. That's just your race. Like half of the country is
Right.
going to be mixed in the
Right.
next 5 years. Like you're mixed race.
I don't really understand what was Barbara yelling at her about.
Yeah, why was she so excited about the census?
I'm not getting that.
I
gives
think
a
she
shit?
wanted her to identify as black.
Okay.
And she didn't want to identify as black. She wanted to identify as mixed.
She's both.
That's weird.
She's
Okay.
both.
Okay.
That's it's by the way, it's not even
Barbara
that
care?
nuanced. You had a white mom and a black dad or vice versa. That just would make you half.
Yeah.
I don't know why we gotta declare a major.
So she's out.
She's out.
Oof.
Still on
Yeah.
the sidelines.
No.
She's
She's in the
suspended.
blue tent.
On the bench.
We'll see if she
Riding the pine.
makes it back. But ESPN had a statement about it.
Oh.
At ESPN, we embrace different points of view.
Oh yes,
Wait a
they
second.
do.
You can't start that way.
said,
Dialogue and discussion makes this a great place. That said,
However,
we expect that those points of view be expressed respectfully in a manner consistent with our values.
Oh, your values. Your values. Oh, there's the rub. By the way, respectfully, do your own thing. I'm doing this thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't do this. I'm saying here's my opinion. I'd say those are pretty respectful ways to couch things. But
Do you?
Yeah. So they do embrace a diversity of opinion.
That's what they say.
obviously.
As long as they're in line with their internal policies. They say we are having direct conversations with Sage, and those conversations will remain private.
this is scary because it's like saying like I don't know what porn is, but I know it when I see it or whatever.
Yes.
It's like I don't know what's a actionable, fireable offense, but someone will tell me when they decide it is. That's scary.
Well, also, they never tell you, here's what our values are and here's what you got to say.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So you work at a place and they go, we value diversity.
Sure.
And you go, okay.
Great.
And then Jay Cutler, by the way, easiest job in podcasting. He's like, okay.
Okay.
Well, there you go. Hey, me too. Oh, I feel you. It's a sweet gig. And then you do give your opinion and then you find out that it doesn't work with their opinion, except for they didn't state their opinion.
And they didn't have an opinion until this was brought to them.
They know it when they see it, like
Right.
pornography. All right, Aaron, it's Orwellian, people. We're marching toward it. People should be way more out of their noses, should be further out of joint about this than they actually are. So please wake up, everyone. Here we are. The future is now. Aaron is 46 from Temecula. A woman who worked as a clown for his birthday party
boy.
tried to seduce him.
We might have a winner.
Yeah, now that's a tough putt because even if the old lady's in the kitchen making deviled eggs, later on that night you pull out your hog and it's got a bunch of grease paint on it.
A lot of glitter.
That's what we call a tell. Aaron?
How you doing, Ace Man?
Yeah, man. So
Yeah, that was
the clown at the birthday party, that was your child's birthday party?
Please say yes.
no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't at the birthday party. But she did. That would have been a whole other thing. She did birthday parties as a clown. So she had the gear.
Oh.
So she had the gear like in the back of her car. She was
Aaron-
ready to go with it.
Aaron,
Yeah.
question for you, real quick. Was she a clown,
Yeah.
like the balloon making, or was she
Yeah.
like a Disney princess? Because we got the Disney princesses for
no.
Tessa's party, and
No, the
my
Disney-
God,
Smoking.
hot.
My brother-in-law had Cinderella at his.
Yeah.
And literally everyone in the party was like following around. Like, do you need a drink or anything? No. This was she was the grease
Fucking
paint kind.
hot.
Yeah.
So yours was just like
she was the grease paint kind.
okay.
All right.
Yeah, but that was the thing too, Ace. You were talking about if she had the grease paint on. I've thought about this a lot because I'm a demented person, but I've thought about this a lot, and I think if she had the paint on, that would have been the deal clincher. But she only wore the pants, so she had just the pants on,
Oh.
and the pants was like her half-ass attempt to seduce me.
Oh, I don't get like the patchwork balloony sort of.
Yeah,
I don't get that.
with the fringe and the whole bit.
Gil.
So how did you guys hook up or meet up?
Clowndate.com.
I was dating two Kellys at the time. So I had Kelly with an I, she's also the clown was a poet too, so another striking against her. Kelly with an I, and then Kelly with a kid. So Kelly with a kid, as you can imagine, there's a whole bunch of things associated with there. So I was keeping Kelly with an I without the kid on the side burner there. But yeah, the clown was a no-go. That was a big no-go.
And how far did it get? And did you have to push her away?
It's kind of weird, like almost like quasi third basey. Like she had like the.
He got to the
like,
fourth handkerchief.
Yeah. Where's the horn? She had the horn?
Did you third base is that oral or digit dropping or where are we? I'm confused with the bases.
No, in retrospect, now that I'm an old beat up man, in retrospect, I'm like, what am I doing? 21-year-old me, bang the clown. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
No, I didn't do it.
All right.
Was she a sad clown or a happy clown?
No, she was a happy clown, but her whole thing was that she had like the childhood tragedy that she baked into her poetry, and so if you talked to her long enough, inevitably would come around to, oh, by the way, yeah, and then the childhood tragedy had to do with like some sort of bus, and that was like the title of her poetry book that she had like printed up like a Kinko's or something.
Aaron, I don't want to go full Tom Likas on you, but clown, poet, traumatic experience. She would have been a fucking Hellcat in bed.
Nothing's off the table.
This is now what I'm realizing too. But then also too, the whole thing. Don't stick your blank in crazy. I was like, if I stick my blank in this crazy, this is going to get a little funky.
Smart.
Yeah.
So I was trying to avoid that.
What are they have? Thanks, Aaron. They have. You don't shit where you work. I was trying to think of the two work.
No, you don't shit where you eat.
Oh, where you eat.
You don't dip your pen in the company ink.
Right. Okay, there's that one. I thought there was also a shit where you work, but maybe you don't shit where you eat.
Right.
That applies to work.
Yeah, that they apply that to work,
Yeah.
which again, everyone here shits at work.
Yeah.
And
only two bathrooms.
Everyone shits where they eat. But dipping your pen in the company ink, that's another one where it's like, if you were there at the company, what are we doing here?
What if it's a family company?
Yeah, and then I got the shit rolling downhill, which anyone who's ever camped on the side of a hill knows.
Right.
No way. All right, let's talk to Carmelo, 32, from San Antonio. Carmelo?
Oh, no.
Hey, yeah, I don't know. Y'all remember me? I called in a couple weeks ago. Government cheese grandpa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you had to turn away sex?
This guy.
Hold on a second. It turns out this is a universal truth. You know what I mean?
Like turning down sex?
Yeah, in that you think, well, George Clooney must have turned away sex quite a few times, but you don't think of your average Joe as turning away. But it turns out everyone seems to have 5 stories about turning away sex.
Well, let's ask Gina. You find this surprising that like all of us have stories, plural, about like, you think of guys like horn dogs, get it wherever you can.
Any port in a storm, absolutely. I don't picture, and I love all of you, like family, but I don't picture all of you all of a sudden having like a crisis of conscience in the middle of third base. So this is surprising.
It was never, it's for guys.
Or you're just saying feh to the...
What guys do is they give you the version, sort of like, I haven't been to the dentist for 9 years because insurance, whatever. They give you the palatable version where, like, I started thinking about it, and I didn't want to hurt her, and my roommate was interested, and I didn't want to hurt him, and it's all that. But it's really, her pussy stunk, or whatever it is, hair on her ass. I wasn't into it.
Yeah.
I had whiskey dick. You know what I mean? It's something. It's never the
You're not
more
wrestling
noble.
with yourself.
No, she wasn't. It's either she wasn't hot enough, which is 96% of it, or she was hot, but there was something up that wasn't working for me. But it's rarely an emotional or psychological.
That I buy.
Right. All right. Carmela?
So here's where I'm going to prove Gina's point, to a point, but then how the kind of guy part, your body will take over. So what happened was I was really desperate, like at one time, I was like on a hardcore dry spell. It'd been a while, and this was about 10 years ago. So give or take, right? Early 20s. And yeah, like I remember talking to this chick on Facebook, and like it was one of those things I'd always told my buddies, look, if there's not a picture of her whole body that you can see, like not where they take the picture from the air, where you're getting that, high view where they're reaching all the way up and taking that picture.
Damn it, all our tricks.
If they don't have the picture, don't trust it. And I went against my own advice knowingly. I was like, yeah, the odds are she's probably not that good looking. And, she's randomly talking to me on Facebook. It's got to be easy. Who gives a shit? You just need to get an ego down. You know what I mean? And it's like, make yourself feel better, whatever. So we go to the bar, take this chick out. She didn't have anything interesting to say, but, we all, we know where it's going.
Carmelo's describing a slump buster.
Oh,
no, right. That's right.
No, that's a real thing. Yeah, you get certain distance from your last conquest, and you're like, I got to choke up and put one in play.
Okay. So you're at the bar.
So we're at the bar, we're hanging out, whatever. We have some beers, whatever. I take her back to her place, and we're messing around, this and that. And we go inside, because we were messing around in the car. We go inside, we're messing around. I was ready to go, and she pulls her pants down. The smell was like Adam. At the end of the day, if you forgot to wear deodorant, you worked a good 9 hours underneath that fucking house, digging the fucking bean with the coffee can or whatever the hell, and you forgot to wear deodorant, and then you slapped a fucking white onion underneath it. That's what it smelled like. I tell you, if you threw me in a fucking ice lake, I couldn't have got flaccid any faster. And I just and she knew, she saw it, it wasn't working, and she's like, what's wrong, and this and that. And I was like, oh, shit, must be me. I'm a big pussy. I better go. And it's just like, oh, God, and it's just, it always kind of just, it's like my body didn't. Like, what's the song? Like, my mind or my body is telling me yes. It was backwards. Like, my body was telling me yes, and my mind was like, no. Or my mind was telling me yes, and my body was telling me no. It was like, no.
Yeah.
I always thought
there's a Foreigner song when he goes, my mind is racing, but my body's in the lead. So your mind was racing, but your dick and balls were out the door.
You're running the other way.
Double vision, Dawson.
That's right.
We can find those. So I think Foreigner captured it so eloquently all those years ago that your mind started racing, but your flaccid cock and balls were heading for the door.
Now, I always thought that these kind of stories, Carmelo, were really just a misogynistic urban legend. Like, that's not real. Is that real?
I mean, it kind of, and it's encouraged. I think nowadays, like what they say, the kids don't have sex anymore or whatever. But it was definitely encouraged by your buddies. What he called it a slut buster, I mean, it was in the 40-Year-Old Virgin, right?
No,
there's a scene where they said, oh, you got to go down and do this. But your buddies would also say that's what they did. It's like, oh, look, I talked to this random chick on Facebook
buy that.
or whatever.
Girls have that, too. I'm talking about a smell, a personal smell being so offensive that it's like a hobo power situation. That really happens.
Oh, yeah, that's awful. I mean, wouldn't it be a deal breaker for you, Gina? I mean,
yeah, but that's what I'm
God
saying.
bless
Does that
you.
really? Okay, this is very wide. I feel like a naive, wide-eyed babe.
Well, if you think about this sort of sense of smell, and when I played football, they cut that grass and you just get a whiff of it and you're doing push-ups out on the field and you're 13 again, it cuts to the quick. It gets to you fast. It penetrates everything.
You can
Baseball
taste it.
dirt still smells different.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
infield
you kind of taste it. So I could see it affecting things downstairs
I do have
quickly.
one story of a guy I know who was on a grinder hookup with this older guy.
We'll be right back.
And he went down on him, the older guy, and he said it was real, something was amiss. But the guy knew it, and he pulled my friend's head up, and he said to him, do I smell like a man? And he was so that was his fetish. So I guess it could happen.
Well, I guess it does, and I guess it's a two-way street.
So we called him Slam, smells like a man.
We'll be back.
All right. We got one more from Jason up there. We got Nivine Jay also, who can probably weigh in on this. First, I'll tell you about Simply Safe, their wireless outdoor security camera. Big news, Simply Safe just launched their new wireless outdoor security camera. The system, U.S. News and World Report named Best Home Security of 2021. Well, it just got better. Engineered with the advanced tech and security features to help keep your family safe. Ultra-wide, 140-degree field of view. You can keep watch over your entire yard. 1080p HD resolution, 8 times zoom to clearly see and capture critical evidence like faces and license plates as well. They got a built-in spotlight, color night vision, two-way audio so you can scare the people off. Easy to set up, takes just minutes. You can remove it. It's got a rechargeable battery. It doesn't need an outlet or hard wiring. You learn more at simplysafe.com/Adam. And they're celebrating the new camera by offering 20% off the entire order of the new system and the first month of monitoring free when you enroll in interactive monitoring. And that is simplysafe.com/Adam. All right. Nivine Jay is ready. We got one more of these calls coming as well. We'll do all that right after this. Nivine Jay is our guest. We'll talk. She's got a podcast, Swipe Left podcast, also a couples card game, therapist, and the mistress. We can get into that. But famously here, because we were talking about her, and one of our guests just apropos of nothing brought up the whole Ben Affleck TikTok video that went viral in May. And this is, we couldn't book Ben, but we could get Nivine. So good to meet you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
So let's just go through that story and then we can get into many other subjects. You're on Raya, is that correct?
Yeah, so it's just like a dating app. And I was just going through it and I saw a picture of Ben as a profile. And I was like, it could be, but probably not. So then I swiped right on it and we matched. And within like a few seconds, he had wrote to me on there. And like, then he was sending paragraphs. So I was like, there's no way that I have this right. So then I was like, you know what? Let me cut the conversation here. Like, I just think you're like catfishing, which is really strange. Like, pick a different celebrity. It's kind of random.
How good is the vetting on Raya? Is it really good? Is it pretty good?
What I learned is, so it is really good because it goes through your contact list. You have to know people on the app and then you have to connect your Instagram. But what threw me off was that his was connected to like a Finsta, not his actual account. So that's why I was like, that's kind of weird. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't attached to his real account.
So you have question. Well, first off, it's Ben Affleck, so it's already it's suspicious. And then the next one is it's not connected to the right account technically. And then the third is long soliloquies that it doesn't seem like a celebrity is going to be burning those kind of calories. Is that correct?
Exactly. Especially with someone that like we exchange like 2 messages. So like, why would you put in all this effort into writing these big paragraphs to someone you have no idea who they are? So I was like, this seems kind of fishy. So immediately I was like, hey, I think you're a liar. Like, I'm going to unmatch you, but like, good luck, like trying to like trick someone. Or I said something like snarky and then unmatched him. And then a few minutes later, I got a message on Instagram with like a bunch of videos of him trying to like prove himself to me. And I was like, oh, gotcha. And then the best part about it was I still didn't believe that it was him. And I think then it turned into like this ego battle because I was like, okay, well then change your shirt and like talk to me about your favorite vegetable. Like I got super specific and he would just do every single video I asked for like for the entire day. Wow. And then I was like, okay, so maybe I've got this right. So then for TikTok, I obviously didn't want to post someone's like
let me just
messages.
Cut you off. I've said this many times, but I think this illustrates it. We always talk about celebrities and juice and who's the biggest celebrity at the party and all that kind of stuff. But I've always said hot and young trump any celebrity.
Fame and
Because if you really think about it, this is a perfect illustration of that. You have a guy who's arguably one of the biggest celebrities in the land. And then you've got young and hot, and who's the one who has to hold up the USA Today with the current date on it and prove to them? Who's doing the proving here?
My captors are treating me well.
Right. What direction is this going? It's going young and hot. So you don't get many, you don't get much bigger than Ben Affleck and still trumped by young and hot. Sorry, continue.
Well, the thing, thank you. First of all, that was very nice. The thing about Raya, though, is every single girl is like perfect. So to me, I was like, I don't know. It just didn't seem realistic. So, but then I realized.
But ultimately,
what was that?
It seems like you should have gone out with him ultimately once he's been through your very rigorous vetting process for celebrities.
Boot camp.
Yeah. So we talked for a bit and like got to know each other just over the phone, but at the end of the day, we didn't, like, it just fizzled out. Like, I was never in town. It just never ended up working out. So it just kind of like fizzled out and then we never talked again. So it just, I don't know. Like, I think at the end of the day, like, I don't think we would have been a good match. I just thought it was a funny clip and I just want to take advantage of like the TikTok trend that was going on. And I was like, oh, I can kill this trend like very quickly with like just a 2-second clip of him talking to me. So I went ahead and like did that.
Did he ever get back to you after you posted the clip?
No. He did not. I did send like a quick, just like apology. Cause I didn't think that it would get negative. Like I thought everyone would just have my sense of humor and think it was just funny. But then people started getting mean. So I was like, oh, was this the wrong thing to do? So then I kind of stepped back from it a little bit and then I just apologized. But that was like the extent of it.
And whatever became of Ben Affleck?
That's we'll never know.
I've heard that name in quite a while.
Drifted into obscurity with someone named J-Lo.
Yeah.
This must have predated J-Lo by just a couple of weeks or months or something. I mean, I'm trying to figure the timeline out.
This is where there was like some confusion. So this was, the videos were sent and I had talked with him pre-pandemic. So I just posted that video not right when it happened. And that's where like I realized a lot of confusion happened. But that video was like 2019.
So now he has to go back and prove to his current lady, like, I swear this didn't just happen.
Should have held up the newspaper. So
COVID spikes again. No.
So this is a thing that I don't think most Americans are aware of, like these dating sites. And by the way, are there other high end like celebrity dating sites, or is Raya the one?
I think Raya's the main one, unless there's one I just don't know about. They probably don't want me on, but that's just the one I feel like is the most popular.
Well, and like Shaq said in that interview, I do all my dating on Instagram, and then people know it's me.
Did you get disciplined by Raya? Did you get kicked off of Raya? Did you break some rules?
Just like a light banning for life. So I'm never allowed on, but I understand. I mean, I get why, like they're very, I will give them this, like it's a really good app and like they take things really seriously. Like even if you complain about someone, they'll kick them off, or like if you're friends of a friend with someone that did something wrong, they'll kick them off. So like They are really good about that, and I think that's awesome. So I don't have anything bad to say about them, but they did kick me off, and I did break a rule, and I'm fine with that. I made sure I had a boyfriend before I did it.
Smart.
Any other celebs who reached out that we may not have heard of? I mean, now that you're banned, I'm
like, let me just. I mean, there's a lot of people on there. Like it was John Mayer was one of them, and then it's just like a lot of athletes, DJs, and then like tech guys, and then like a bunch of actors.
Podcasters?
But no podcast.
They don't make a cut, please.
None that match with me. Yeah.
You got to be in show business. And then, so how does it physically work? How does the matching work? Like you put your profile out there, somebody sees it, likes it, matches it, and then you go back and look and see if you want to match with that person?
So it's kind of set up like every dating app. So like you're like swiping right or left. And then if you both swipe right on each other, then it takes you to like a chat where you're able to like talk to each other or video chat from there. I believe there's a video function on there. And then it's connected to your social media as well. So you can add people on social media.
It strikes me like in the past, this was like socially frowned upon. We had the wanted ads or the lost the
Escape.
The song, the Pina Colada song was about this.
This whole thing turned very quickly.
But if you put your ad in a newspaper saying you were single and you're looking to mingle,
or
you were
dating service,
it was sort of frowned upon. But I don't think it's frowned upon. There's no stigma to it anymore, right?
I think it's the way.
I don't think there's, I think now, like when I talk to my parents or like my parents' friends about it, they're like, you're going to get murdered 100%. But I think it's really safe because like you have people's like social media, which a lot of us like live a lot online. So you can see their friends and their family. And so like that makes me feel a little more comfortable meeting up with someone where I can kind of like get a grasp of like who they hang out with or how they talk. Like, do they write stupid captions? Like, how are they? So I think it makes things a little bit easier, and it makes you vet people a little bit easier. Whereas meeting someone from like a newspaper clipping where you know nothing about them could be like extremely dangerous or fun.
We had a theme where we're talking about being turned down for sex or actually turning people down.
The guys doing it.
The guys were doing it.
Of course, girls all the time.
But, and then now I wouldn't think the answer would be yes to this, but has a guy ever turned you down in an intimate setting?
I can't say that they have.
Of course
I think
not.
that would be
Adam, please.
It would be really funny. I just didn't think that guys turned people down.
Neither did I till yesterday. I had no idea when this topic came up that this ever happened.
It happens.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. Even the guy friends I've had have told me like, oh, I ended up sleeping with her. I had no interest in her. I wasn't attracted to her, but she wanted to sleep with me. So I think guys can really just do it at any time. So I think it would take a lot for someone to say no.
That's what I thought.
It's true. And we can kind of compartmentalize, meaning we can put our penis in your compartment. But even with that, there's still some threshold that evidently every guy who works here has crossed at some point for various reasons.
Multiple times in some of us.
Yes, every guy, and these are regular, just working class dudes, have done it more than once, just said no. Now, it wouldn't be to Gina or you.
Thank you.
But there's a lot of gals. You know, there's a lid for every pot. For every dumpy dude, there's a dumpy chick.
Dumpy lid.
Believe you me.
Always.
And that has been turned out. And also, here's an interesting thought. I wonder if, in general, guys have a little bit of an inflated version of themselves. Like the guy who's walking around who's a 5 is turning down a chick who's a 5.5 because he thinks he's a 7.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I mean?
Sounds familiar.
Good word problem.
I wonder if there's an inflation problem with guys. And there's probably an inflation problem with guys because for guys, you got to go beyond the aesthetic. You know, we can look at ourselves in the mirror and know we're no great shakes, but we go, hey, I got a Camaro, dude.
Right.
You know, like we got, I want to enhance on a condo in Riverside. I only have 2 roommates. Like we will figure out a way to build, or I got an idea for an app that's going to take off any day now. Like we can inflate our number. Women, the number's kind of the aesthetic, and they'll see it when they get out of the shower in the morning and they catch a look in the mirror, like, are you this or are you not? Guys, we can be fatter and balder and older and whatever, and we can still have a pretty inflated number of ourselves. So it does kind of make sense that there is some turning down because of the inflated number.
That I buy. Also, I'm wondering when you get to a certain age as a guy, if the female's number goes down, if she's a real pain in the ass. Or that's just part of like the hot mystique.
Well, yeah, but we don't really discover that early in the relationship.
Okay.
So,
well, true, it doesn't factor into this scenario.
I have to get into the mind of these gentlemen. You understand, Nivine?
You've never personally been turned down sexually yourself.
Not that I know of, so I don't think so. But I also what you were saying about like guys and like being a 5 and turning down another 5. What I noticed about guys is if they're like a 5 and they've been with one girl that like happened to be at a weird phase of her life where she's like, I'm going to date someone that's less attractive because they're going to be nicer to me. Once that girl does that to that 5, then that guy's like, oh, I can get a 10. Why would I ever get anyone less? So like, depending on what kind of girl they get, they like think that they're the same number. But really the girl was just feeling insecure that day.
Pete Davidson syndrome. Is it Pete Davidson?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The Pete effect.
Yeah, you've been with it's kind of works that way with salaries sometimes. Like once a guy's made $100,000 a year and then you get another job or there's a downturn or something, you get offered 65. You're like, what? I can't live off that.
How dare you?
So once you throw them once there's the mercy fuck from the 9 to the guys to 5, that's now the new bar that guy
Good luck
has set.
Yeah.
Have you now? So you've never personally been turned down sexually, but I'm guessing you must have done a lot of turning down sexually.
Yeah, only because I have kind of like a naive nature to me where I think if I meet someone cool that like I have no interest in dating and we're like hitting it off or like getting along, I'm like, oh, they want to be my friend.
Right.
And I'm like slowly learning that usually guys aren't interested in like a friendship with no like benefits to it. So I've gotten in situations like that where someone's not tried to sleep with me, but tried to kiss me or something when we've been like hanging out every day. And I'm like, oh no, I thought we were like going to become best friends.
That's on you.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think you can get along with someone and hang out all the time without it having like sexual feelings.
Yeah, as long as they're gay. Well, it's also, I think the tell for you ladies is, it's one thing if you guys grew up together or maybe even you work together, but if you just meet someone online and he's claiming he's just looking for some companionship, don't trust that one.
Yeah.
No matter what he says. And it's interesting because I think beautiful women, everyone sort of wants the opposite of what they have. So if you're an unattractive woman, you want a guy to talk about how beautiful you are. If you're a beautiful woman, you want a guy to talk about how funny you are and how engaging you are. You know, we always kind of want to fill the void of what we're not getting the most of. So if you're a beautiful woman and you got this guy who's trying to get in your pants, but the way he's trying to get in your pants is to pretend like he's not trying to get in your pants. So he's constantly talking about your personality and how funny you are. It's easy to fall prey to that because you're like, oh, this guy sees the real me. He's not Ben Affleck. All right. Well, let me give you, maybe we should try let's see if we can dissect. We got a couple of calls up there. Nivine, you hang in and see if this sparks any thoughts. Sam 49, Lancaster, California, turned down a hot aspiring actress because he didn't want to take advantage. What? Where?
Okay, so first, in the context of like guys thinking they're hotter than they are or whatever, understand I'm barely this side of Sasquatch. Like I'm not, I'm not, my own idea of a great looking dude.
All right.
But I wound up, meeting up with this girl and we're talking and she starts explaining about things going wrong in her life. And she is like remarkably beautiful. But things are not good. And she's basically got a rather large bag of her stuff. And apparently she's like just left her boyfriend's place or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's getting late. And I decide, this girl needs a place to stay, and I take her to a motel so I can like pay for her to have a place to stay.
Oh.
And I'm dropping her off at the front door, and she's kind of like opening up her blouse a little bit, and I can't figure out how to open the screen door, all right,
but Sam, you look like Sasquatch. You're from Lancaster. Why didn't you paid for the motel? Why didn't you hop on? She's beautiful. Why didn't you hop on that?
Because I really felt like it would be taking advantage of somebody vulnerable.
All right.
And I couldn't.
He's the exception to the rule. Then
you're the broken clock that we love, Sam.
It was a motel.
Yeah. All right.
Nivine has questions.
So I feel like maybe it's possible, if I might profile, that this young lady may have been not in the habit of saying thank you in such a way for things, and that kind of creeped Sam out.
Sam, how old were you at the time?
I was,
give or take,
probably 24 or 25, and you could count my number of sexual experiences on one hand. So,
yeah, you're going to need that hand later when you get home.
Yeah,
Well, I was thinking maybe she's
Anne
like
Hathaway.
Gina. Maybe she just wanted to pay you back for the.
That's what I'm thinking. That might have been her. She might have been used to paying
Sam's
it back
pathetic.
that way.
I'm done with Sam.
How dare you?
But I do want to say this, although it's going to be a horrible thought, but. When I was young, it was all cash. I didn't have credit cards or anything like that. And then I got credit cards, but once in a while I leave my wallet somewhere. But now I got my credit card on my phone. It's kind of opened up a world to me because I'm never without payment.
That's right.
But as long as you guys have your vagina.
We're never without payment.
You're never really without payment.
It's its own change purse.
It's
You may
the
not
Apple
have any
wallet
money for a
that
motel.
God gave
Right.
you.
But
I'm sorry, I have to call bullshit on you, Adam. From the same guy who lifted up a heavyset chick who fell in the classroom and carried her basically a city block to the nurse's office, I think there's a part of you that can identify with Sam.
I'm good-hearted by nature and chivalrous. Thank you.
You're welcome
for bringing that up. Nivine, let me give you a plug. Couples Card Game, Therapist and the Mistress. It's curated by relationship specialists to bring you and your partner closer, and it's available for pre-order at tmcardgame.com, and also the podcast, Swipe Left podcast as well, and Instagram. I'll just spell it out. Nivyjay. Thanks for joining us. This was
Thank you so much for having me.
This was fun, and come see us whenever you're in LA.
I will.
Thank you.
Have a good one, guys.
Thanks. Nivine Jay, everyone. So funny. You see the story, you see the pictures, you get little bits and pieces, and the person just becomes this sort of cartoon character. And then you kind of talk to them like they're funny and engaging. They have a sense of humor. Also, I like people who go, well, I got kicked off of Raya because I broke the rules, and I probably deserved it because those were the rules, and I ignored the rules. I like when people do that.
Yeah.
Like, I did it. I understood. They were correct.
Yeah, she's
Perhaps Nivine could be our online dating correspondent expert.
Well, now she keeps getting kicked off.
That's right.
All right, let's see. We got Doug Ellin and Bre-Z waiting to come in person. First, I'll tell you about BetterHelp. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. We get our cars tuned up. We want to prevent issues down the road. We go to the gym. We want to go to the doctor to prevent injury and disease. Well, what about therapy? It's a routine. It's maintenance. It's for your mental wellness. It prevents bigger issues down the road. BetterHelp. Customized online therapy offering video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to go anymore. You don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. You can just do it all with your voice. Much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Why invest in everything except your mind? Take care of yourself with BetterHelp. Right, Dawson?
This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Adam Carolla Show listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/Carolla. That's BetterHelp.com/Carolla.
Well, we have Doug Ellin, creator of one of my favorite shows, Entourage, and young upcoming star Bre-Z joining us right after this.
The Adam Carolla Show presents Doug Ellin's birthday cocktail party. For April 6th, let's see who's invited. First up to the bar, the aviation pioneer of the Douglas DC-3, Donald Wills Douglas. American blues harmonica player, Big Walter Horton, is here. Michael Rooker joins the party. Southern rock guitarist, Warren Haynes. Hey, Paul Rudd is here. So is Zach Braff. Break out the Colt 45. Billy D. Williams is here. And today's your lucky day, Doug, because you get to drink with Merle Haggard. Doug Ellin on the Adam Carolla Show.
You know, it strikes me that any guy who in the 50s went by the name of Big, like Big Joe Part, they're always dead.
Yeah.
If your nickname was Big, in the 50s. You didn't see the 2000s.
Yeah, big is not good, but I like my party. It was better than my real party this year, so that was nice.
Doug Ellin here. Bre-Z is an actress and a rapper, and of course, Doug, writer, director, producer of the podcast Hollywood Wayz, and Doug and Bre-Z will tell you everything you need to know about life and work in Hollywood, and then of course, Victory, the podcast, and that's got Kevin Dillon and or it's co-host, I should say, by Kevin Dillon, Kevin Conley. So we all know Entourage, one of my favorites. I've told Doug about that many times. And I'm not a guy who gets sucked into the series. I haven't watched the Squid Games. It took me a long time to get to The Sopranos. I was early money with Entourage.
Appreciate that. Yeah. Bre-Z's just getting to it now, so it's nice.
Oh, that's kind of nice. So how many episodes of The Sopranos you seen?
The Sopranos.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Entourage.
Oh, I was about to say.
Yeah.
I'm probably like 8 episodes in.
Okay.
8
Oh,
episodes.
and how many seasons did
We did 8.
A lot.
8, right?
Yeah, we did 8. 96 episodes, so we didn't make 100. They cut us
Oh
off
man,
before
you
we
haven't
get
even
there.
got to drama. Doesn't want to go to the valley yet. One of my favorites. Yeah, I feel that. I mean, I guess it's I got 15-year-old kids. They all ended up. Everyone in their class ended up watching every episode of The Office. But 5 years after The Office was off the air, or the Seinfeld, they're all watching Friends now.
Yeah.
It's kind of, if something's good, it'll
last. It could.
last.
I mean,
Right.
especially if it gets on Netflix. I mean, that's a real key to anything working because The Office blew up on Netflix on a whole other level than when it was on the air.
Yeah, it's funny how it may have had a bigger or more popular resurgence.
It's a
second
real
time
proof in
around.
the pudding situation where like the shows that are having these resurgences are from the 90s and later when sitcoms frankly got good. Like there's no fucking nostalgia for Alf or for, well, aside from you for the Love
I like
Boat,
Alf, and so is Jimmy Kimmel.
But you know what I'm saying? Like these things haven't had a second life for a reason. As Jeff Goldblum would say in Jurassic Park, nature selected them.
Me and
for
Jimmy
extinction.
had a conversation about Alf when I met him. There was like a couple of gay guys coming out of the closet in the 40s. Like, what comedies you like? I don't know. You go first. I don't know. Maybe.
Are you a friend of Alf?
Maybe friends of Alf. Like,
I liked Alf.
I know it was sad.
Do you like Gordon Shumway?
Yeah,
That's his real name.
Yeah.
So what's going on with Entourage? Is that on something? Where can we find it?
I mean, it's on HBO Max. It's still going, and I think it's going pretty strong now. The podcast is certainly giving it a nice resurgence, and the whole new generation is finding it, which is cool. So,
yeah, and then the whole part about podcasts where you talk about the show you did. These things were unthinkable when I started 12 and a half years ago. People had no idea.
You were ahead of the game. I mean, it was unthinkable to me a year ago when Conley asked me to do it. I didn't get it. I didn't know what we were going to do. And, we don't just talk about Entourage, which is what I like about it. We talk about everything. So,
well, let's talk about how did you and Bre-Z get hooked up?
You want to take that, Bre-Z? Or?
Yeah, we well, I mean, the beginning is your thing. He was looking for a co-host, someone young, someone hip, I guess.
someone cooler than me, younger than me.
Yeah, someone lit. And we had a mutual friend named Ted Foxman who recommended me to Doug and thought that this would be the perfect fit. So we met. We had dinner. The next day?
Yeah,
we had dinner the next day, and it was like we known each other forever. That's how it is with me. It's either I feel like I've known you for my whole life, or I haven't.
And your story's interesting. You came out here at when is this?
I moved here in 2014.
2014.
But you started your career
You
at
began
14.
your music career at 14.
Yeah. Probably a little younger than that. It was just one of those things. I started out a barber. I come from a family of barbers, my father, my grandfather. So that was kind of like what I knew I would be doing because it was just already in me, And then I started to pursue music at about 12, 13, 14. And that was kind of what I was doing. Moved here in 2014, was still cutting hair, just making ends meet, and then got a phone call one day after a performance I did to audition for a show called Empire. And I did it, and I had no idea what I was doing. Didn't know where I was going, like GPS and everything. I didn't know LA. I was literally only here about 4 months. And did that and figured it out. And then I just kept getting these calls from the show. Now that I know, getting these calls from these people affiliated with the show back to back, asking a bunch of questions. And, like 72 hours later, the writer and director and producer called me and was like, I want to welcome you to Empire. I'm like,
So
what?
great.
I was like, what is going on? You know what I'm saying?
Based on what you know now, what were the questions? Obviously, they're interested in you as a performer, but like, what were the coded like questions?
Well, they were
like,
really interested in what type of person I was. It was a lot about like personality and who is she? Is she easy to work with, hard to deal with? What is that? And they were not only asking me, but asking people who knew me, you know, people that were affiliated with me. So it was almost like you're going around doing like a personality test almost from what I heard.
like online dating. Like, you got the people, mutual friends, or you reach out to contacts.
Exactly. So almost like references, you know what I mean? Just to kind of see like, what are we getting ourselves into? Because I am someone who was just a fish out of water. I wasn't, you know, in the circuit of auditioning. My name wasn't around like that, you know, so I guess they just did what they had to do. But it worked out well and nobody had any bad things to say. And I got on the job and had no idea what I was doing and eventually just figured it out. I mean, I figured it out on the day.
Oh, my God.
Let's get back to hair cutting. I got my hair cut 2 weeks ago, and I said to the poor woman, how many of these things you do a day? And she's like, good, 15, 16. And I thought, God damn, I'd go nuts. Standing there
I think the
doing-
most heads I cut in a day, which I actually counted one day because I was so busy, it was probably like 52.
Oh, my God.
52.
Yeah, 52
You like
heads
work
in
for
a
the
day.
military, and the guys came in off the bus?
No, but it's just like, it's one of those occupations where you have to be there to get paid. You don't get paid if you're not there. So
52
I went in,
heads.
Oh, yeah, I was in early. I probably started at like 7 a.m. I probably finished at like 2 a.m.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Now, is this an urban thing? Because I feel like white women are too picky. They're like,
Yeah, I mean,
done.
it's
Do it
definitely,
again. Let me see the
like
back.
a cultural thing. Like we, you know, and where I'm from, barbershops are open. If the money is there, it's open. You know what I mean? If the money's not, then we closing early or whatever, you know. But if the traffic is there, why not?
But it's mostly men, I would imagine.
It's all men.
Yeah.
Yeah, all men. And
Yeah.
I worked for like a traditional, like, you know, white salon. I worked for Great Clips. I worked for Hair Cuttery. I managed the Great Clips at 18 years old.
Really?
You know, yeah, I worked for Supercuts, all these little like generic places. That was like in and out of high school, but wasn't really my thing.
You managed a Great Clips in high school?
Yeah.
Adam, this is your girl. That's
She's
impressive.
a superstar.
That's a
I'm
motor.
telling you.
Yeah,
She's
but
got
I loved
the
it.
drive.
I loved it. I was actually interested in franchising one. You know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
because it was easy. It was simple. You come in, you get a haircut, you leave. The price doesn't change. Nothing changes. You want products, cool. Just get in and out. And that's how I was when it came to hair. I wanted to get in and out. I didn't want to, you know, dabble into coloring and all that stuff. I didn't want
This is your trade, not your art.
That's my trade. Yeah, but I just like.
So you guys on the pod talking about the Hollywood scene. What's the state of things these days? I mean,
Sheesh, let Doug tell it. A lot of shit is out the window.
I was going to say, Bre-Z could tell because she's working. I'm doing podcasts by myself. But, you know, I mean, I think obviously with all these streamers and stuff, there's just a ton of areas for creators.
I think it's nothing of what it used to be from when you guys were probably doing stuff.
Those past generations.
Yeah, I mean, now you can literally, you know, I remember when the yellow pages were a thing and
Right.
everybody had a phone book. But now all you actually need is Wi-Fi and you can find whatever you want. You can look for talent all over the world.
Adam calls 411
I do. I still call 411.
But you get what I'm
from his
saying?
smartphone.
From a smartphone.
But I
Well,
think
it's
just
only
look-
smart as the owner.
But just looking at you, Adam, I mean, you were so ahead of this game, and now every person in the world, and I'm not talking entertainers, but athletes, hair cutters, lawyers, doctors have a podcast. And I think, you know, some of that is obviously horrible, but it is a chance for a lot of people who have a good voice that don't need the gatekeepers to get them there, that don't need the agents. And I think that's the thing that I see changing is the middleman is really evaporating. You know, the agents and even some of the studio heads will slowly start to pull away as people can create stuff and get it distributed how they want. So.
Well, there was a lot of beak wetters like back in the day. Like everyone knew the non-writing producers. It drives everyone nuts because, like, you know, when Jimmy and I were doing the Man Show, we had a manager. And so they're always in the deal. And the reason they're in the deal, and the reason it's like a
Mafia.
It's a tacit agreement, which is this guy who normally gets 15% of what we make, we don't have to give him the 15%. He can get that from the studio or whatever, but he's got to be in the
He'll
deal
get it
as
somewhere.
whatever,
It's part of the bundle.
whatever producer. And then at some point, you're sitting in your office and you're burning the midnight oil and you're, you know, whatever. It's showbiz. But it comes down to a job. You know, you got a date, you're filming,
Right.
you deadlines, you're looking at stupid wardrobe and arguing with people and stuff. And then you come down to taping the show and you can see that guy and he's just eating the whole time. He's just walking around eating. Everybody's getting paid the same as you.
Yeah.
And after a while of watching that guy grazing the whole time, and the thing that's funny is those guys not only don't do any work, eat all the fucking food, but inevitably you'll actually be filming something at some point and he'll be on his cell phone like standing next to the boom mic guy going I don't know, Arch Deli sound, and you're like, Howard, be quiet. And then at a certain point is not only you're not helping, not only you eating, but you're actually wandered into the shot, and at this point what do we need you for?
Yeah,
right.
or they're siphoning off talent that you find. They go and like, oh, while you're working, they're taking somebody else that's eating lunch with them, you know what I mean? And going, we could do another show while they're working their ass off over here.
Right.
You know?
Right. And, that model lasts for a while, which it did, but eventually the people who are pedaling the bike real hard look at the guy who's dragging his feet and eating in the back of the bike and go, why does that guy have to be on the bike?
Yeah, it's dead weight.
And in the past, it was like, because that's the system.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Yeah. But now it's all been blown
It's a
up.
free-for-all, and I think it's interesting, and who knows, I mean, I really see it, because the internet is getting so fast, you'll be able to make your own shows soon, and you'll be able to distribute them yourself, and people that are good will be able to make things and get seen really quickly, whereas, when I started 30 years ago and made a short film, I had to walk around with a VHS tape begging people to, look at it, and it took
make
a year to
copies
make.
and mail it to people.
Yeah, and it took a year to make, which I could do it today, the same movie, in an hour on an iPhone, and edit it and do everything.
Put it out in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You just think about editing. You used to have an Avid machine. Sure. That was $100,000. You literally needed $100,000 worth of hardware to do what any kid can do.
You're
on
on Avid
today.
for digital. I'm talking when I did my first short film, my entire apartment was filled with. I had a flatbed and film strips covering my entire apartment, and I had to beg editors from student films all over the city to please, could you come help me do this for free? I don't have any money. My roommate would go nuts because there's all these film strips lying around, and Avid was like a game changer. And now to look at that, Avid is nothing compared to your iPhone can do all of that and film it, so it's pretty wild.
Jimmy, when I used to work in radio, would be splicing audio tape with a razor and laying it on his thigh and then taping it together with this little aluminum ashtray thing where you put them together and tape it. I mean, it sounds so crazy.
You're talking audio, though. Imagine doing whole movies like that. Imagine all of the great films that have been made like that. And
Godfather.
I mean, and you...
I got to see that. I got to see, how... not The Godfather.
Bre-Z, please.
No. I got to see how that's done, though. I'm listening to you, and I'm trying to get a visual picture, and I can't imagine.
Modern Romance, Albert Brooks movie. You remember that? I mean, they actually show some editing in there, and you see what like a flatbed with film strips, and every change is so difficult that you almost go like, why don't we just leave it?
It's good enough.
Where now you can try it so many different ways, so much easier.
So you don't have the technology getting in the way. I mean, most people couldn't afford an Avid Bay, couldn't do what you were doing, and then there was the sort of middlemen who were sort of keeping everyone kind of roped off, and these are celebrities and those aren't, and now it's just going to be pure merit based, right? Just cream rising to the top. And then the other question that is, but now there's this volume. There's so many people with so much good stuff and so much, you just think about how many docs are out there where you go, haven't seen, you'd love this doc. You can't get around. There's not enough hours in the day. And then Squid Games pops up and then everyone's talking about it. I don't know
Number
how
one
it
in
works.
90 countries.
That's what I heard. Are we watching? Is everyone watching?
I haven't seen it yet.
I'm watching.
I had to take a break after the tug of war episode because I started having fucked up dreams.
You know what? People are saying it's freaking them out.
So this is a series?
It's a series on Netflix.
How many episodes is that?
8 and 9? Yeah.
I'm on episode 3. One season. I'm sure there's more coming. There's games and clothes and everyone's
I'm going to start tonight.
When Halloween, you're going to see everybody dressed as these
in the
guys.
sweatsuits.
But I don't find it scary. I don't know. People, but maybe it's getting worse.
I was going to say, that's adorable. You're on episode 3.
But it is violent. I mean, it is.
What's the genesis of Entourage? I mean, you're making a film, you're in your apartment, you're physically cutting tape. When does Entourage come into the lexicon?
I mean, there's 10 years of grinding between that. I made 2 movies in between that. Both were independent that studios picked up. But Mark Wahlberg, who I knew, said I want to do a show loosely based on my friends and my life, and that's where it started. So
how did he anoint you as the Entourage guy?
His manager was my manager, and I had, after I had this movie come out, which kind of made me hot for a minute. I was offered Heartbreak Kid and all these other things, and then the movie actually was released and didn't do well, and all of a sudden I was dead. So I was with a friend, and he said, I got to get into TV. And I was honestly ready to leave the town. And this is after I probably sold 10 movies and written 25 scripts. And a friend said, get into TV. I said, how do I do that? And he said, write a spec script for a show that you like. And it's crazy to think that I wrote a Curb spec, and that's coming back on now again. But I wrote a Curb spec, and I gave it to my manager, which is a funny thing in this town, who was my friend for a decade and my manager for a decade. And he read that script and was like, I forgot you could write, So we got this idea. And the truth is, when they first pitched it to me, I said, that sounds awful. I don't want to watch a bunch of losers follow around a movie star. But my manager, Mark's manager, said, you'll figure it out. And I went home, and 2 years later, they gave me a green light that we could do it. So
was it tough getting traction at the beginning? My recollection of Entourage is, like I said, I was early money on it, but I was talking to other people about it, and they're like, it's fluff. You don't need to watch that.
Yeah.
And which, by the way, they don't realize that they're de facto calling you stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to waste my time with that bullshit.
Yeah.
And I'm going, it's really good.
For
It's really
simpletons.
good. But somewhere it seemed like season 3, I started getting many more people kind of came around to it. So, like, Squid Games gets out of the gate, blockbusters, but Entourage slower burn, or what happened?
I mean, it was a weird time. TiVo was just starting to come out, but the night before we aired, the executive that I had worked on this show, this script that I had rewritten 100 times, called me up the night before and said, listen, we want you to be prepared. We do smart stuff here. So tomorrow, don't take the reviews personally. This is literally what she said. And I had done a movie earlier that the New York Times said was unreleasable, which it's not, it's not like people go, oh, why do you care what they think? I care when my parents have to wake up and the New York Times says that and all their friends call them and go, So I was having nightmares like you had over Squid Games about what it was going to be. The next day, the New York Times came out and said it was the smartest show on TV. So day one, that's what happened, and that was a good feeling. And still, the grind was really season 2. It started kicking in to the audiences around wherever it was, the country. But that's a good thing, I mean, I like that. I mean, I don't think coming out of the gate matters. I think it's about having some longevity, and it's interesting to see now, a decade almost after we're off the air, that it seems to be as popular as it was then. So, you
think we can find that review? I don't think you can beat my Tom Shales review of
you
me.
mean the one that said I was unreleasable? Yeah, we can find it easily.
It may be bad, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as what Tom Shales said about me.
What'd he say?
Oh, I don't want to step on it. He was trying to review me and Jimmy for the Man Show, but at some point he just veered toward me.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad. But what was the movie name, date, whatever, and maybe Chris can find it.
Oh, that was that release was Fat Beach, which Bre-Z loves. So
what's she gonna say?
No, but legitimately, I made this movie. I was 22, 23. We made it in like 9 days. And when the producer told me he sold it and it was going to play around the world, I said, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" So I wasn't for it. But the fact is, it's 30 years later, and it still plays on Showtime. And Complex Magazine did like a retrospective, 20-year retrospective. So there was something in it. So
it's on the streaming platforms too. So.
Oh, it is?
Has like a cult following now, it sounds like.
Chris Rock used to make fun of it in his stand-up act, which I felt great about. But it was like film school for me. That's how I learned how to do it.
So the New York Times reviewed it and said not releasable.
Yeah, Variety said it was not releasable. A lot of people said it was not releasable.
What do you think the worst review of Fat Beach was?
Oh God, I mean, they were really so bad that I mean, I can't even think about it. Again, that wasn't where you take it that personally. But even Kissing a Fool, Roger Ebert said, and Kissing a Fool, I just rewrote it. I got a script from James Fry, who was famous for writing a Million Little Pieces that became, the big thing on Oprah. I read the script. I got a job, which is what you do. I rewrote a script, and Universal picked up this little movie, and they released it. And Roger Ebert spent his review saying I needed to go to film school, which I already went to film school, but so I don't know what it would have done for me. But
All right. Well, we'll see if we can find that Fat Beach New York Times review. Again, I don't want to be a one-upper, but I still don't think you're going to do better than now. Tom Shales is a nationally known reviewer, syndicated columnist.
You're still bitter about this. I like it.
I know now. I look back and wax nostalgic about it.
That's how I feel. But I think it's interesting for Bre-Z because she's probably not had to deal with that and hopefully never will. Have you gotten any like really bad reviews? Because it's more it's more embarrassing than it is like, oh wow, this guy doesn't like me. It's just like so many people call you up, and that's when it's really bad.
Well, that's the thing. I couldn't agree more. It's like if someone says it to you, like, okay, but it's like, oh God, my mom's gonna hear this.
My grandmother religiously got the TV guide and would like circle things and highlight things. And I showed up at her house many years ago, and she bolted out of her chair and like ran toward me. Did you read this horrible review? She was beaming.
She couldn't wait.
I don't know why it was so satisfying to her, but the notion that she looked at TV Guide and there was a horrible review for me in TV Guide. It was awesome. And I actually argued with her because I said, it's not really that bad a review. And she's like, it's
terrible.
bad. It's bad.
Really horrible.
Yeah,
my mother. I did an episode of Entourage that was based on my mother getting that review. It was actually where Kevin Dillon finally gets a good review, and he's in the Grand Canyon, and he says "Victory," which is where "Victory" the podcast came from. But I mean, that was honestly that's how I used to live. Like, I want my parents to see a good review because they really, for so long, were like, "What are you doing with your life?" Even when I had movies in the theater, they're like, "What are you doing with your life?" I'm like, "I don't know. I sit in my underwear, I write some scripts, and they put them in the theater, and people say bad shit about me." But it is what it is. So.
I don't even know if my mom reads the reviews.
Really?
Oh, that's
I don't
even
know.
better. I hope you'll appreciate this. I just put Fat Beach reviews. Fat Beach changed my life. 10 out of 10. And 10 out of 10, one of the forefathers in revolutionizing the way we think about cinematic photography.
Wow.
Not bad.
Now, interesting little thing about Fat Beach. Darren Aronofsky, world famous director, I got him to do my second unit on that. You won't find that on his resume.
That's not on, he scrubbed that.
It was my friend from film school, but yeah. It was.
All right, Max Matt, we'll see if we can find that or even the Tom Shales one.
I'd rather the New York Times review of Entourage, though. That would make me feel better.
It's quite a chasm.
I can read an excerpt from the Fat Beach New York Times.
We got to do the bad ones.
Quick.
The title's "Fat Beach Offers Slim Pickings."
That's clever. That's good. That's clever. Sounds more like a New York Post headline. But,
if any treasure lies buried beneath its superstructure of bikini-clad young women, adolescent male fantasies, sandy shores, and summertime ambience enlivened with hip-hop and rap music.
I want to say those.
by the way, I'm in.
That's why it's so good.
It is a lesson about treating women with respect.
Here we go.
But that interpretation puts the best possible face on this contrived and simple-minded comedy directed by Doug Ellin, which opened yesterday.
Wow.
$90,000 budget, by the way, and the New York Times is writing about it. So what can I tell you?
All right, now you got to find Tom Shales. All right. You want a second?
I have it here.
Oh, it's the best. This would be considered a hate crime if I wasn't heterosexual, old, and white.
So Tom Shales from On the Air, he writes, title, "Man Show Takes Cable to New Low." It is a time of abundance. It is a time of emptiness. It is a time of diversity. Wow. It is a time of sameness. It is a time of knowledge. It is a time of being really dumb and proud of it. Yes, perhaps paraphrasing the opening of A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens is too lofty a way to get into a column about how barren the airwaves and cable waves are. But then Dickens is long dead and cannot protest. If he were alive and turned on his TV set, he'd be too appalled to speak and probably drop right dead again.
Who wrote that?
This prose is great.
Shales. Yeah.
Tom
Oh,
Shales.
that was Shales. Sorry.
It's all Shales.
Yeah. He's a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
How sad that with all those hours and all those channels to fill, cable keeps coming up not with innovative and adventurous fare, but with more and more frivolous time wasters. Cable's goal is apparently to lower the common denominator beneath anything the broadcast networks were able to do during their 4 decades of dominance. Among the latest case in point, The Man Show, a hapless recreationary fun fest that airs Wednesday nights on Cable's Comedy Central. This is the network that made a name for itself with South Park, a crudely drawn and even more crudely written cartoon.
Oh my God.
It's on season 22.
Yeah. This is aging well. Good comments.
About foul-mouthed tots and talking feces. Yes, really. The Man Show stoops low, too, presenting itself as an alleged tonic for the excessive feminization of pop culture. It's a kind of talk variety half hour co-hosted amateurishly by like-minded clods Adam Carolla and Jimmy Kimmel.
It takes a turn for the personal very quickly here. It's going to
I
get
like
worse.
that you compare it to South Park. It's $1 billion franchise. I wish I created that.
They bumble through a mishmash of skits that try to be funny by ripping off, among others, David Letterman and MTV's Mad Maverick Tom Green.
Oh.
Yeah,
Rip it off Tom Green?
There's a hint of wit to what Letterman and Green do, but none to what Carolla and Kimmel perpetrate on their pathetic weekly half hour.
Wow.
It gets worse. It gets worse.
I hope you never get something like this, Bre-Z. I mean, as stupid as it is and how dumb he sounds now when you look back at it, it hurts.
It hurts.
All right, bring it. Give us a little more because it's going to
Sort
get
of a
insulting.
poker game without cards or chips. They think they're extolling the primal pleasures of being male by referring to women as broads and belching on camera, but they just flail, fizzle, and flop horribly. This is not so much a show as a car crash. Carolla already has one disreputable series on air. It's MTV's Love Line, a late-night talk show in which viewers phone in for advice about their sexual problems. A smugly preening Dr. Drew attempts to answer the questions.
I love Dr. Drew.
While Carolla, spelled wrong, croaks out Neanderthalian gags. The whole thing is a wallowing exercise in communal embarrassment that makes the Jerry Springer Show look like a Harvard seminar.
The shows he's referenced on the air for a combined 45 years.
Yeah.
He also, he's reviewing The Man Show, co-hosted by me and Jimmy. He takes a turn for me, and he shits on my other show that's on TV. I would argue.
Drew catches some friendly fire.
Well, by the way, Richard Roper in his review of the Sopranos movie this week writes something nasty about Entourage. I'm like, we've been off the air for 10 years. The fact that you're still spending your time on this is very fucking weird. Dude.
All right, we got a little more. We
We
get into how ugly I am at a certain point.
No.
Oh, yes.
Lacking showmanship, taste, cleverness, class, and even simple, telegenic visual appeal, i.e. he's a creep, Carolla is perhaps the perfect symbol for the new age of anybody can be on TV.
Sounds like your grandma's reviewing this.
No.
Perhaps he is ideally suited to co-host The Man Show, as he seems to represent the species at some previous pre-literate evolutionary stage. He looks like he's reached the third or fourth plateau in poor Larry Talbot's transformation into a werewolf in the old Universal Wolfman
It literally just took a turn for my physics. Because we all know, you think about all the comedians, they're all
dreamy.
classically Patton Oswalt,
Sam Kinison, Lady Killer.
Oh man, they're all
Who wrote that?
They're all beautiful.
One of the biggest
Tom Shales,
TV writers of all time.
Probably the biggest TV critic ever. Right?
He ends
So he
it.
gets paid to do that.
He gets paid to do that. I don't know. Is he still going? Because they're
He's still around,
They're
I think.
another breed that's almost dead. The critic. Like, nobody
Yeah.
gives a shit anymore. It's like,
Did
he had real power back then.
Did he insult me at all anymore?
Well, yes, he did. Well, he ends it with, cable TV promised us a new video universe with something for every taste. What that meant, apparently, was every kind of bad taste. In this pursuit, Comedy Central leads the way, right off a cliff and into the abyss. Tom Shales is 76 years old now.
All right.
And he won the Pulitzer Prize for criticism.
Now, here's
in
my
88.
point.
Pulitzer
That's
Prize.
Tom Shales, Pulitzer Prize, one of the biggest reviewers in the world. In the bad review department, you can only tie me. You can't beat me. He did 2 shows that I'm on and started talking about how ugly I was halfway
He just
into
didn't
it.
stop. He kept going.
But that's
Yeah.
why I think
Gone.
that review is actually good, because you really got into him somehow. I bet he watched the show.
Well, you know
a lot.
what?
He watched it.
He got off. He didn't. By the way, Jimmy barely got fragged. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I have a thought.
Wait, sorry, was this one not the one with the Carolla-ectomy?
No, that was
He's not only one bad review.
no. Well, that wasn't yeah, that was a bad review, but that was like a Hollywood Reporter or Entertainment Weekly or something like that. That was just an example of someone not liking you or me or whoever, so they just go off on something that never happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So
right.
when we stopped doing the Man Show, we did 4 seasons of the Man Show, and Jimmy was going off to do late night, and I was like, well, I'm going to go with Jimmy and help him work on late night. And then Comedy Central, because the show was so popular, they just went, we just do another season without Jimmy. And I was like, I don't know. I don't think it's going to work that well. We created the show together. I'm going to go with him. And they kept having these lunches. We'll offer you $50,000 an episode. Big money back then. Just do it.
Right.
Do another season. Do it alone. Get another partner. It doesn't matter. Just do one more season, because it was making money and everyone knew what it was. It was a big franchise and everything. And I was like, had a rare bout of dignity where I was like, I'm not going to take the money. I'm going to go with my friend. I don't think it would be good. We did the show together. We've done 100 episodes or enough. And then later on, when Entertainment Weekly wrote the story and they were trying to get me and Jimmy, like Jimmy made his ill-fated move into late night. That was 18 years ago. And then after Comedy Central performed a Carolla-ectomy and got me out of the Man Show. And then they were talking about the new Man Show and like how much they loved it. And it's like, well, how was this a Carolla-ectomy?
Who fact-checked this?
We had a million meetings, and I kept telling them, no, sorry, don't beg anymore. I actually should have gotten a little praise for having a little dignity in this town, but now they performed a Carolla-ectomy.
They don't care. They don't care. Once you realize that, you're fine. But,
It was rough back then.
It was rough back then.
Jeez, I'm like,
we had
wow.
this Brian Lowry guy. I don't even know if he's still around. This hack at Variety. I mean, he used to trash me constantly, so I started trashing him on Entourage. Then we did an actual episode where Kevin Dillon's character went to Variety to look for a character to smack around, whatever. But it's again. What I love about today, the way the world is, you don't have to just sit back and take it anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Whether you're an athlete, an entertainer, or just a schmuck with a microphone, you can respond to these people. And I did.
Immediately.
I tweeted at Richard Roper the other day. Like, the fact that I even have any thoughts about him, but I'm like, I'm just reading the fucking Sopranos review of a new movie, and why are you coming after me? I don't even work anymore.
That's what Dr. Drew said to me. I don't smugly preen. They're doing a Man Show review. All right, let me tell you about Trico, and then we'll get on with the news. Over a century ago, Trico was the first to make wiper blades, and now they've been a step ahead of Mother Nature ever since. Trico engineers study specific driving conditions to make sure you're ready for anything. Even if it rains, actual cats and dogs, you can get the best wiper blades on the planet if you go with Trico. Whatever the weather, Trico wipers maintain maximum windshield contact. No matter what your driving habits, you'll always find the right wiper blade for your vehicle. They've been around, by the way. Trico's been the future wiper blade since 1917. So, to find a store near you and to see all the latest offers, because now we're heading into the rainy season, even out here in SoCal. It's starting, clouds starting to form. Get those new blades on there. It's a safety thing, and go with the best. Go to TricoCatsandDogs.com. That is TricoCatsandDogs.com.
It was backwards. Like my body was telling me yes, and my mind was like, no. Or my mind was telling me yes, and my body was telling me no. It was like, no, don't.
Yeah.
I always thought
there's a Foreigner song when he goes, my mind is racing, but my body's in the lead. So your mind was racing, but your dick and balls were out the door.